Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It's the day after the game before, and Tottenham run out 4-0 winners. And let's be fair, it could have been 5, 6, 7. We missed a lot of chances, scored a lot of goals, missed a penalty, and had a man sent off. And I think that for me was the most pleasing thing for me about last night. It's not that we got the win, because I thought we would win. It's not that we won 4-0. I think the most pleasing thing for me is that that game could have been very tricky when we went down to 10 men. You're 2-0 up. You know, you haven't been playing well at home. Does the do the away team start gaining a little bit of momentum? Do they start putting us under pressure? Are they going to have all of the ball? Are they going to make Vicario work? And you're thinking the answer to all those questions is probably yes. But it's almost as though the sending off kind of took us from gear 2 or 3 to 3 or 4. It's just almost like we ran up the gears. And I thought we looked absolutely brilliant. Frank got it spot on. It was very harsh on Xavi Simons, who I thought was very good last night. But I think he got it spot on, removing Xavi Simons and putting Paulinho into the number 6 position so that he could just win everything and set everyone going forward. Never nice to see a player subbed because you've gone down to 10 men, but unfortunately that is the game of football. But Paulinho came on, was brilliant, and Bentancur, absolutely sensational, I thought, in the middle of the park. I actually think Bentancur's been one of our better players this last 6, 7 games. Seems to always get the stick. But for me, and this is a player, by the way, that I think we need to upgrade on. For me, being one of the better players in this team in the last 6, 7 games, I think he's been very good. I think that he doesn't get anywhere near the credit he deserves. And I'm just hoping that after the win last night, we can just a bit of relaxing. Just a little bit of relaxing. And as I've said all season, I think we need to stop going from losing and it's biblical drama, winning and everything's okay. I just think at the moment we're going to see ups, we're going to see downs. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you get a new manager, when you're building something, when you're changing tactics. This is what's going to happen. Doesn't mean we're going to win every game. Doesn't mean we're going to lose every game. But what I am seeing is a lot of people very relieved after last night. Most people seem to be very happy, which is nice to see. And then other people just seem to want to constantly find the negative, right? I watched a couple of shows last night. Honestly, it felt like we lost. I watched and it's why I, in the main, don't watch a lot of YouTube channels. We need to work towards consistency. Yes, Jason Raymond. We need to work towards consistency, and that will take time. We need to work towards keeping certain players fit. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. For me, what do I mean by that? Mawani and Simons, for me, we need to keep those two fit. We need to keep them fit and let them build that understanding, that partnership, that relationship in the number 10 and the number 9, the 10 and the 9. I feel like if we can keep that partnership fit, we'll start to see a better Spurs going forward. Once Kudus gets back into that side as well on the right-hand side, that strengthens that up. Left side, I'm still unsure about. Udogie did some nice things in the game. He did. For me, though, still can't beat a man. Can't beat a man, and I think we really need a left winger that can beat a man. He does some nice stuff, neat, tidy. But going forward, that's how I think. Those two are the key for me. Keep those two centrally fit. We know what Kudus will do. Keep those two centrally fit, and I think we could be onto something. So we'll get into the game in more detail in a minute. But I thought that Mawani had a really, really good game. I thought Mawani had a really good game. I thought the first 20 minutes or so, I thought he struggled a little bit to get into it. He looked like he was getting into the right positions, but He looked a little bit rusty. His first touch wasn't working. So, after that, I felt that his link-up play started to look good. You started to see the first touch. He was linking up with Simmons, linking up with Bentancur, and I thought, oh, okay, starting to do well. Then his miss at the end of the first half, there's no two ways about it. You've got to put that in the back of the net, right? But then the other miss just a few minutes later with a header. But what he did for the goal, I thought was brilliant. He's closing down, he's pressing, and then the way that he brought the ball out of the air was absolutely sensational. And it's nice to see credit where credit is due, right? I thought that was a wonderful first touch. And let's be brutally honest, that is what you don't get from Tell. That is what you don't get from Richarlison up front. And dare I say it, I don't even think Solanke would have done that. So really, really nice to see. And then obviously Udogie being the beneficiary, getting into the right place at the right time and slotting home his goal nicely. Look, I get it, right? I get it. The more I read stuff on YouTube, and I'll be honest, I try not to as much anymore, the more you realize that a lot of people are playing the YouTube game. I get it. A lot of people are playing the YouTube game. You notice some people don't want to go live when we win. And it's the same. That's not just YouTubers. That's the same as YouTube viewers. It's amazing how last night I'm looking around and going, right, where are the usual suspects? Where's Sam Smith now? Nowhere to be seen. Where is Matt? Nowhere to be seen. Where is you Spurs? Nowhere to be seen. Where is Cam Tinley? Nowhere to be seen. And I think it's a sad indictment, really, that, and as I keep telling everybody, I'm part of the problem being a YouTuber. It's a sad indictment, really, that we seem to have so many people that want to be online after a Spurs defeat or a bad game. But then when we win, you would think naturally, by the understanding of the word fan, you would think that after a win would be where every Spurs fan comes together and everyone's in chats. And unfortunately, that's just not the way it's gone. And as I said, as a YouTuber, I'm here, especially I do every game. I'm here, win, lose or draw. I'm here, win, lose or draw. It is what it is. And I really hope that changes. I hope that everyone can find at some point just some sort of balance. Yes, we need the consistency, but it can't be healthy as a fan base, can it? To be on edge every game. It really, really can't be that healthy. And as I said, football fans, we never used to be like this. It never used to be swinging from weekend to weekend as to in, out, in, out. So for me, I really hope this gives us some impetus moving forward. I really hope that this can spur us on, no pun intended, to the Man United game at the weekend. And let this sink in. If we beat Man United at the weekend, obviously it's an if, but listen, Man U aren't the greatest team in the world. They're not the worst team in the world. I think Man United are probably level with us in terms of where they should be finishing when you look at the money they've spent on that forward line. I think that if we win that, we go into the international break, probably in the top 4 of the Premier League and in and around the top 8 of the Champions League table. Now, I say in and around the top 8 because we're in there at the moment. I'll show you the table in a minute. We're currently sitting 7th, but we know that there's games tonight, and you would probably think, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at that table right now. You would probably think that a few of these teams are going to take us over tonight. So you can see that that's the table as it stands at the moment. So you've got Bayern Munich, Arsenal, PSG, Inter, Real Madrid, Liverpool, and then Tottenham. Not bad company to be keeping there, to be honest. Really not bad company at all. And the teams below us that can go above us tonight. So you're looking at Borussia Dortmund. Who can go above us? So basically anyone down to Galatasaray. Now, Galatasaray, you would think wouldn't, because they're, unless they win 6-0. Yes, they can. Galatasaray, Karabag, Chelsea, Barcelona, Newcastle, Man City, and Dortmund. So if you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins, then Spurs will drop back down into in and around 14th, 15th place. I can't see all 7 of them winning. However, it's not a bad place to be. And with regards to the Champions League table, it's not so much for me about, are we in the top 8 right now? It's about having those points, right? It's about having those points that allow you going into the last couple of games of the league table to be in striking distance. Yeah, I don't think any Spurs fan thinks that there's a God-given right to be in that top 8. But if we can be in and around there, going into the last couple of Champions League games, I think that really sits well for Thomas Frank's first Champions League venture. Now, we've got a couple of tricky away games, haven't we? In terms of PSG and Frankfurt. And then we've got Slavia Prague and Dortmund at home. Now, Dortmund are a very, very intriguing team. They're very good on the counter-attack. They're normally much better in Europe than they are in their own domestic league. But nothing to say we can't beat them at home. And a couple of wins from the last 4 games could see us on to 14 points. Now, does that get you automatic? Maybe not. But it will get you right at the top half of the playoff section. So for me, I think that we're just sitting nicely. We're sitting 7th currently in the Champions League table. And then when we go to the Premier League table, we're currently sitting 6th with a game at home up next. Now, the funny thing about this is if we win that game, you'd probably think that we will end the weekend in the top 4, right? And we'd go into the international break, sitting in the top 4 and sitting pretty in the Champions League table. So I'll ask again. So what's the drama every game? Like I'm seeing a lot of people now going, oh, it's only Copenhagen. Well, hang on. It's only Copenhagen. You've got to win your Champions League games. It doesn't matter who they're against. You've got to play who you've got to play, right? And if we get out of this league table, if we get out of this group, you think we would have played Borussia Dortmund, right? We would have played Borussia Dortmund, Monaco, Frankfurt, PSG. You know, we're going on as though these are really bad teams that we should just rock up and beat. So I think that there's a lot of reason for fans to be optimistic. Now, if you're a fan that goes game by game, then you're always going to have that heart versus head moment where you want to be happy, but because of your opinion, you can't be. And I get it. But right now, I think that Spurs, if you had said to anybody in the beginning of August, this is where we're going to be on the 5th of November, I think most people would have taken that, right? If I had said to most people, look, we're going to go into the 5th of November and we're in the top 8 of the Champions League table and we're in the top 6 of the Premier League, I think a lot of people would have taken that. I get it. People want to see how we played last night every week, but sometimes you can. Sometimes you can't. Again, Copenhagen will probably give us a lot more room than a lot of Premier League teams will. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's good for confidence. That's good for building those patterns. And as I said, last night for me, what we saw I don't know if it's the first time, but it's the first time I can remember. Somebody in the chat will tell me. I think I might be missing one other game. I think it's the first time or second time we've seen Mawani in the 9 and Xavi Simons in the 10. And for me, I think that makes a huge difference. And I'll show you why. Let me bring this up. And then we'll talk about the game in more detail. Before I do that, actually, let me do a couple of super chats. Very generous people. Big up Adam. Said, hi, this is my first super chat. Thank you very much, Adam. Very generous. And you're now a member. So if you'd like to join the member-only show, probably on Friday, but maybe tomorrow, you're more than welcome. It's a great show, great performance last night. Feel like there's good things to come. Feel positive going into January. Adam, I agree. I feel like we're in good hands. I really do feel like we're in good hands. I feel like we're in comfortable hands where there's not going to be drama. And it feels like all the drama, Adam, is from the fan base rather than the manager. And that's a good thing, right? This is the first time for years I've felt comfortable that we've got a manager who's calm, gets on with it, and will just be left to his own devices. I know a lot of football fans don't want that, but patience is going to be a thing. I understand as Spurs fans, we've been patient for years. I get it. But unfortunately, that's not Thomas Frank's fault. And so big up to you, Adam. Really appreciate that. And that's very, very generous of you indeed, my man. So thank you very much, Adam. That's very generous. And then Rodney, my man, coming in saying, big up, Savva. Great win last night. YouTube will never change. Is now a food platform all about cooking. You're bang on. It's sad. How did it get this way? Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. And I'll tell you what, I'll show you. I've actually got a video coming out in the next couple of days where I got my thumbnail guy to knock me something up. And I'll show you, look, so you can see that I'm not making this up. You can see, look, there's the thumbnail I've had made up. It's like online fans are killing football's soul, right? And what I mean by that, Rodney, is kind of what you're saying here. Everything's about cooking. So last night, when I finished streaming, I went to bed pretty early actually last night. Pretty early is about 11 for me. And I got into bed, and when I press What's Live, thank you for the super chat, by the way. When you click on What's Live across YouTube, the number of panel shows where the titles are so-and-so getting cooked and meltdown, must watch, an epic popcorn moment. And I sit there and I think to myself, so we're not really talking about football then. Like that's why I don't tune into those shows, because I wouldn't be tuning in to have any deep football conversation with the panel or deep football conversation in the chat. The conversation in the chat is just also biased, isn't it? It's like you can't ask a question in a panel show without everyone in the chat. If I turn around and said in a panel show, God, what a really good goal from Mickey van der Ven. Half the people in the chat that don't support Spurs just go, oh, Mickey van der Ven, he's shit. If he was any good, he wouldn't be at Spurs. You know, and you just go, oh, God, it's draining. And that's why I stopped going on all these panel shows. It wasn't football conversation anymore. It was my dad's bigger than your dad thing. So, yeah, unfortunately, to your point there, Rodney, that is, yeah, unfortunately, that is how it's going. I really like the one-on-one chats. I really like the one-on-one sensible chats. The problem is when I have the one-on-one sensible chats, all I hear is, oh, this is an echo chamber. And it's like, so, hey, it is what it is. But yeah, let's bring up this, shall we? So this is how we started the game last night. So there we go. So this is how Tottenham started the game last night. And the key thing for me here, forget the back four. We know what the back four are doing, right? We know what the back four are doing. For me, the key thing there is the Simmons and Mawani link up. This is the key link up. He runs all around here. He's running these channels. He's running these channels. But this is the link up. Now, Xavi Simmons has come in for a lot of criticism. As always, fans won't give a quality player any time to settle, right? But Xavi Simmons yesterday, what we saw was his intelligence. Drifting left, drifting right, drifting centrally, link-up play, getting on the ball, playing through balls, his crossing. We saw a lot of intelligent play from Xavi Simmons last night. And those that say it's only Copenhagen, well, every footballer has to play against every team they play against. And sometimes you look at a team and go, that's the game where I'm going to get my confidence back. That's the game where I'm going to get my spark. So I've got no problem with Xavi Simmons if he uses that as a platform to build and to grow. But Xavi Simmons, for me, is really, really vitally important. And that's why I think, take a step back. Before, as a fan base, we berate him. Take a step back and think how much he needs our support and how much we need him. It's easy, isn't it? It's easy to look at a player who's just joined and say, he's been poor. He's a waste of money. He's not strong enough. Or you can look at a player like Xavi Simmons and say, you can look at a player and say, look at the creativity. Look at the pockets of space he gets into. Look at the intelligent runs he makes. Look at those half spaces he gets into off the right, off the left. By the way, I can't disagree with this more. I don't think it showed that in any way, shape, or form. But that's just me. I don't know about this whole. I think Paulinho and Bentancur have been two of our better players the last couple of months. I think we need with Xavi Simons time to build, time to grow. Not every game is going to be brilliant. It's his first year in the Premier League. Not every game is going to be brilliant. Yet you rag on Richarlison's been in the Premier League for about 9-10 seasons now. Come on, we don't do that on this channel. We don't do silly comments like that. Surely anybody can see that the levels between a Mawani and a Richarlison. Surely we can see those levels. So we're seeing a very intelligent footballer. Now, anybody that watched him for the Netherlands, anyone that's watched him play in Germany will know that that player is in there. It's not all going to come together in one game. It's not all going to be, he's amazing. But we saw last night what he's capable of. Beautiful cross for Mawani. Beautiful through ball for Brennan Johnson's goal. Brilliant interplay and link up for the first Mawani chance. And I think if we can start getting that in, if we can start getting that confidence into him, we can start getting him more minutes. And again, as I said, I thought it was very unlucky last night to be the guy taken off, but somebody's got to. And when you go down to 10 men, you've got to do something, right? And unfortunately, I think that he kept Udogie on for his running. He kept Mawani on for the focal point, and then you knew it was going to be Xavi Simons that comes off. So, I think that we've got a very good footballer there. Needs time, needs some patience, needs a little bit of support. Really happy to see they gave him the Man of the Match award. Hopefully that will give him a lot of confidence. But equally, I do feel like, I don't know if anyone in the chat said, I don't know, sorry, I wasn't looking. Have we had another game where Mawani starts and Simons starts in the 10? Because I don't think we've seen it. I think Mawani started against Everton and Simons kind of played off the left. I think last night for me was the first time I think we've seen it. And you started to see the difference. Now, we can all say it was only Copenhagen, but, this is a Champions League game where we saw that when he has a focal point, when he has a striker to link up with, suddenly he looked better. Right? Suddenly he looked better. Now, is that a coincidence? I don't think it is. When the ball goes into a Richarlison, it bounces back. When the ball went into Mawani, he was holding it up, looking for the options. Who can I lay in? Who can I lay in? Who can I hold up and bring into play? Now, we don't have that with Tell up front. You don't have that with Richarlison up front. And that is why I think it's really, no, against Everton, Xavi Simons didn't start centrally, did he? Against Everton. They kind of all played everywhere. I'm talking about purely as a number 10. Yesterday, we had two wingers and then Xavi was in the middle of that pitch. And he linked up really, really well. Now, I want to see, as a Spurs fan, I want to see more of that now moving forward. And I hope that that's what we get to see on Friday. Friday? Who plays on a Friday? That's what I hope we get to see on Saturday against Man United in the lunchtime kickoff. Right, 12:30 kickoff, I believe. Anyone in the chat can confirm that for me? That's what we want to see. Now I want to see that with Kudus on the right. So again, let me bring that back up. Now, if you've got Kudus there, suddenly you can start to see some patterns forming between Kudus and Xavi and Mawani. Suddenly it looks stronger. And unfortunately, and whoever's fault that this is, we don't need to worry about that right now. But Spurs have been void of that option up until the 5th of November. So we're looking at how many league games are we? So we're looking at 10 league games, 4 Champions League games, 2 cup games. So unfortunately, and the Super Cup. So 17 games we haven't been able to play that free as a forward free. We haven't been able to play that free. And I think if we can get that on the pitch more often than not, I think you're going to see us better going forward. Now, I'm not going to change my mind on, I don't ever think with the midfielders we've got, we're going to be a free-flowing football team. I think we'll be better going forward with these options. I don't think we're ever going to be a free-flowing team because we don't have that ball-playing midfielder. We just don't. It is what it is. Nothing we say will change that. We just don't have it. So I think we will be much better on transitions. I think we'll be much better in the counter-attack. I think we'll be much better when we win the ball in the midfield and spring it quickly to Simmons, to Kudus, to Mawani. Do I think everyone's going to see free-flowing? I don't feel that we'll see that until we buy that missing piece. And that missing piece for me is there. That missing piece is there. So if I changed Papa Sarr, for example, with if I did that, for example, so if I put an Angelo Stiller, just for example, now all of a sudden you've got the guy that gets on the ball, that dictates, that wants to create. And then this guy would be, by the way, and then Bentancur and then Paulinho, they don't have to play every game. Then one of them can play, like last night. So I think that you start adding in different pieces. Now, for me, I'd like to see something like Lookman, like that. Now, all of a sudden, look at that. Now, suddenly, look at that. And I think you've got a much better team going forward, right? Now, you will start to see a lot more patterns, a lot more ball retention, a lot more possession. Now, I know, obviously, we're not near that happening at the moment because we don't have a Lookman, we don't have a Stiller. And that's why, at the moment, I think it's about being... I mean, Stiller is class. I genuinely don't. We're doing that thing again, aren't we? Where fans don't rate really good players. Stiller would change the way we play. I think that we can see when people say they can't see what we're trying to do. I completely disagree with that notion. I can see what we're trying to do. I just don't think we've got the jigsaw pieces to complete it. So I think that we are building nicely. If people can get over their ego of having to see really nice football week in, week out, then I think that we'll see we're building just nicely. So a bit of chocolate. But it's about levels. As I say every show, it's about levels. Now, I don't disagree with this. Big up, Ash, my man, Ash. I don't disagree with this. They work well together, but one of two things has got to happen for this to work. Either Odegaard, well, both ideally happens. Either Odegaard learns how to take a man on, or Udogie just needs to be a little bit calmer in that final third. As I said, I thought Udogie had a really good game until, and I'll show you, I thought Udogie, let's take those players out that don't play for Tottenham Hotspur. So this was that was Bentancur, wasn't it? Bentancur. And this was Odegaard. So what I would say is this. Can you see the screen? You can see the screen. So the way I saw it last night was, what we were seeing a lot was, because Xavi Simons was roaming everywhere, so we just put it there for a second, Odegaard was dropping into these positions here. And what he was allowing was a Destiny Udogie to get right up here and be involved in the play. Now, for me, I thought he had a good game, Udogie. And I think that if you were to ask me right now, of all of these players, like the Odegaards, the Tells, the Udogies, the Sars, the Bergvals, the Graves, Udogie, for me, has got the best skill set out of all of them. Now, that doesn't always translate to he's going to end up being amazing. But I think he's got all the tools in the locker to be a top footballer. I think he's got all the tools in the locker. He's strong. He's powerful. He's quick, right? He offers width. He's good running, great engine, gets back, gets forward. Now, the key thing for me with him where he's really got to develop, and I was looking at his stats last night through his career, and the stats backed me up as well, is that he is absolutely excellent at getting into this area. He's brilliant at being fed into this area. Now, it's when he gets it here. It's when he gets it here where I think that that's where Frank is going to have to work with him. And it's the composure. There's no problem with him getting into those areas. It's the composure. Now, when you get a player into those positions, whether they're a fullback or whether they're a wing back or a winger, you're always going to be judged on the end product, the final ball. The final ball is always, I was taught this years ago, the final ball is the most difficult ball, right? Because it's the ball that matters. So everything that we do here, everything that Udogie does down here, fine. But that's where it matters, right? You're now through on goal, and the last ball is going to decide, do Spurs score a goal on it, essentially, right? Now, I think if he can really sharpen that up, take 2 touches instead of 6, if he can whip the cross in straight away rather than always needing a touch, find the man rather than putting it into empty space. I think if he can really tidy that up, tighten that part of his game up and develop that, and he will, I think you've got a top left back, left wing back, whatever you want to call it. We've got a top player. But you can see the power in him. Now, defensively, I still think he's got some work to do there, by the way. I still think, I still think there's a lot of work to be done with him. But in terms of when I look at all of the younger players at Tottenham, this is the one where I think, yeah, you've got a lot going for you. Now, that's down to Thomas Frank and his coaching staff to work on that. But already we're seeing he's getting in a lot of dangerous areas. Now, what's your final ball? That's the key thing. Now, when you go and look at his career, at his final ball, his crossing, his key passes, they're all the metrics where he struggles. But we say the word struggle. They're the key metrics for me where he needs to work on. And that's the positive thing for me. So I think that that's a real good positive. Now, that's what he gives you that Jed Spence doesn't. Now, where Jed Spence is better is not in that area. He doesn't get into those areas because Jed Spence, if we change that to Jed Spence, so we change that to Spence. So Jed Spence, he's much better here, isn't he? He's much better here because defensively, Jed Spence is very, very good. Not really a lot goes past him. He's very good in the tackle. He loves the fight. He's got that pace as well. Jed Spence there is great. The problem with Jed Spence, and this is not his fault really. Actually, I'll tell you, so let me just put this back to the 4-2-3-1 so I can. The problem with Jed Spence is, why has it done that? Sorry. The problem with Jed Spence is, as I said, in these areas, he's brilliant, right? But the problem with Jed Spence is when he's going down there, naturally, because he's so right-footed, he doesn't want to go there like Udogie. He wants to go in there. His natural game is to drive on his right foot into this area. Now, that's fine. But if you've got Jed Spence driving into there and Simmons is moving into there and Udogie has moved into there, now you've got a very congested part of the pitch. And you've got this whole area here. You've got this whole area here where nothing's really happening. So it's kind of is a very, very interesting, I don't know. I don't want to say conundrum because I don't think it's a conundrum, but it's a very, very interesting way of looking at it. Uh, Sorry, I just saw a comment I thought was really, really good. Yeah, Daniel Harris, big up to you, was saying, I think Frank is clearly improving. Listen, I think he's looking better. I think he's doing well. It's that final third. And as I said, the reason why I said that's about, I was going back to Ash's point. The reason why I said that about Udogie and Odegaard is if you've got a winger like Odegaard that can't beat his man and doesn't get to the byline and get crosses in, then Udogie needs to be doing it. If both of them are not doing it, then what you end up having is a lot of ball down the left-hand side, but no product. Now, if Destiny Udogie was playing, let's go back to that. Let's say a Destiny Udogie was playing there. Let's go. So that's Udogie. And now this is a Malik Fofana, who does like to take his man on and can beat his man and get crosses in. Now, if that is the case, sorry, let me go. Then if you've got a Malik Fofana there, that doesn't put so much pressure on Udogie constantly getting the first time ball or getting those crosses in correctly. Because Fofana's there doing that. But when you've got Odegaard and Udogie, one of them's got to be getting to that byline and getting the crosses in. Right? Now, I think that will develop into Udogie. I don't know whether Odegaard's got it in his locker. I think, as I said, Odegaard is neat. He is tidy. He keeps it ticking over. As a winger, he's not for me. It's only me. Don't shoot the messenger. As a winger, he's not for me. I was screaming again last night. The number of times he's one-on-one with his fullback and you're thinking, take him. And the fullback took it off him. So for me, I think that when you've got a proper left winger there that likes to get down there and get the cross in, what it means is Udogie's then got the option of going outside or cutting inside. You've now got the option. Right now, Udogie doesn't have that option because that's where Odegaard wants to be. So I think once we get that sorted, and again, I'm not saying anytime soon, I think that's going to be in the next windows. I think you see a much more fluid Spurs when they attack. And that's why I don't think there's any panic. Don't think there's any drama. But what that also does is it actually means that the defense won't double up on Mohamed Kudus as much. Because right now, I think so. Let's go with this. Let's assume it's Malik Fofana, just for the sake of it. Let's assume it's Malik Fofana. When Kudus gets the ball here, we know that two players always go out and mark. Let's assume they're defenders. Two players go out and double up, don't they? Two players go and double up on Kudus. They don't worry so much about the other side with an Odegaard. Right? Now, if you've got a left winger the other side, like Fofana, who also wants to beat his man the way Kudus does, suddenly these two can't double up. Suddenly, one of them's got to look after him. One of them's got to look after him. This player's got to come back here and help out as well. Suddenly, you stretch the pitch and you give yourself more options. You give yourself more outlets and more ways to get the ball into the final third. This is why when I said that we didn't buy what we needed, when people go, yeah, but we've got to deal with what we got. Sure. But this is why people get frustrated. We need that width. We need that balance. And that's the key word to any football team for me, balance. When you get your team balanced, it's amazing how difficult it is for the opposition to deal with. Yeah. So you go back to the olden days. You look when Man United would have Beckham on the right and Giggs on the left. What do you do as a team? Right? You've got Ryan Giggs, who's one of the best dribblers of a football I've ever seen, on the left. And David Beckham, who's one of the best passers and crossers of a ball I've ever seen. You've now got two threats with balance. What do? Right? You look at when Spurs, let's use Spurs as an example. Spurs had Gareth Bale on the left and Aaron Lennon on the right. As a team, how do you double up knowing that the ball's going to go to either side and either one of those wingers can hurt you and take you on? Both of those wingers want to drag their team up the pitch. And that's why it's so important. That's why when people praise Odegaard, and finally he did okay. When people praise Odegaard, that's the difference. As a fullback, I think you like to play against it because you know that he's not going to run at you or can't run at you. On the right-hand side, you're going to double up because you know that Kudus is going to hurt you. So for me, I think once we get that left-hand side sorted, again, balance, yeah. You've got Garnacho on the left, Neto on the right. And when they spring, especially when they've got Cole Palmer feeding balls through, when they spring, are they going right? Are they going left? It's difficult. Now, Udogie can be that guy if he gets that end product. But now imagine you add a left winger with that product and Udogie going beyond him. Now suddenly we're a threat. Now suddenly Spurs are back to the days of Danny Rose and Son doubling up on the left. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I think the next couple of windows are going to be really, really important for Spurs to see what do we do? What do we want to be? Absolutely. Yeah. What a good player Andre Kanchelskis was. Yeah. For those older fans in the chat, anyone I reckon above 40 will remember him. Yeah. Andre Kanchelskis on the right wing for Man United. Another, do you remember? Stood on the ball, didn't he? And did that. But that for me is really, really important to what we want to do. So I think we've kind of got that left-hand side, the makings. With Udogie, we've got the makings of something that could be very good. For me, upgrade on Odegaard. Let Odegaard build and grow. Let's see if he can develop that end product and that beating a man. And then maybe you've got a top player for the future. If we can get that, and then you've got the Porro and Kudus bit on the right. You've got Paulinho and Bentancur as centre mids. Now you bring in a ball-playing number 8 so you can mix and rotate. Suddenly, it starts to look all a little bit more threatening, doesn't it? But you've got to have the players to do it. I'll say this all the time. You've got to have the personnel to do it, and you've got to have them fit. And as I said, last night was the first time I can properly remember the Mawani, Xavi Simons 9 and 10 duo. It's the first time I can properly remember it. And you saw sparks. Now, by the way, players aren't going to play together 1 or 2 times and you go, wow, look at the chemistry. But you look when chemistry has been formed over a number of matches, number of years, number of seasons, how much better players are together. Look at the Keane and Scholes partnership. Look at Kane and Son. Look at Gudjonsson and Hasselbank. Steven Gerrard and Fernando Torres. You look at the Drogba Lampard. You look at these partnerships and they take time to develop. But when they get there, look how much better the players play. Look at the confidence. Look at the kind of telepathic links that they're creating with each other. We haven't been able to get that. So when people are going, oh, we're not very good going forward and we don't look. Yeah, we've had so many different forward partnerships this season that you're not going to build that. And that's why I keep saying to people, time is needed. Time is very much needed. Now, we all know what this fan base is like. If we lose to Man United, it will be drama. It will be the end of the world. If we beat them, people will say, well, it's only Man United, so you can't win. But you've really got to build these partnerships, these relationships all the way across the pitch. Van der Ven and Romero at centre-half. Porro and Kudus there. Udogie and a proper left winger there. Once you start building those relationships, things start to look a lot better. Look at the relationship that De Bruyne and Haaland had. Rodri and De Bruyne. Yeah, look at those partnerships that they formed. So when you've got that, you can play that football that people want to see. But those people that don't really think about these things don't understand that. You can't have Bergvall in the 10 and Richie up front and expect to see this good football in these partnerships. You've got to have the relationships. And what you saw last night with Mawani and Simmons was the first time you had the proper 10 with the proper 9, and you started to see link up. When you're having to play Tell there and Bergvall in attacking midfield, you're not going to see it. So when people go Frank this, Frank that, let him get the players and you will see this. Look at the partnerships he built at Brentford. Damsgaard with Tony. Damsgaard with Mbeumo and Wissa. Right? Let him build those relationships. But as I said, people who wanted those relationships built over 10 games with players missing, and players injured, that's not going to happen. And that's the only thing I try and do is come onto YouTube, try and bring a little bit of realism to it. Bit of realism. You can't play that way every game if you don't have the players. Last night was nice. We managed to get those two through the middle, and we managed to get a lot of the football. Now, against Man United, you would probably think it's going to be a very different game because Man United obviously are going to be a lot stronger than Copenhagen. You would think that Man U would press better than Copenhagen. But you've got to have the right players. It can't just be that fans go, show me good football. All right, but we've got Bergvall in a 10 and Tell up front and Johnson on the right. You can't play good football if the players aren't capable of that. And that's not me knocking Bergvall, but again, he's not a number 10. For me, Bergvall is not a number 10. He's not that creative guy. You see, yesterday, Xavi Simons is that creative guy. Xavi Simons' first fault, and I'll tell you what he was very good at when I saw him oh my God, why can't I speak? Leipzig. What he was very good at Leipzig, what we started to see last night, he's very good with that low center of gravity. He receives the ball, he's on the half turn. He doesn't mind jinking back past himself to create more space for himself. He opens up the pitch, and now he's got someone left, someone right, someone through the middle. And look how happier he was last night to play forward passes, knowing that Mawani would get him the ball back. And this is a great point, Philly. This is a great point. When Pochettino first took over at Spurs, it wasn't free-flowing. It wasn't lovely to watch. It was hard work, right? But as he coached the players, as he added a few players in, you started to see a lot better. You started to see a lot better. And slowly but surely that tide turned. And then everyone after a year and a half was going, oh my God, look at Poch. As I said, those fans gave Frank 10 Premier League games and judged. So there's a real lesson to be learned in football for patience. There's a real lesson to be learned. And sure, but when we're saying give him time, at his age, he should be beating men. As a winger, you should be beating your man, and he can't. That's my worry with him. It's all well and good saying give him time, but I watched him at Burnley. I'm watching him at Spurs. This guy, for me, is not a winger that can take his man on, and that's a worry for me. Absolutely, Rob. Really good point made. I'd much rather we started slowly improved and start well than regress. As I said, this season is about finding things out. This season is about finding things out, about coaching, about developing. But as I said, we've got too many of this fan base that don't want the time. They criticize Frank immediately. Immediately. Hardly anyone in the fan base turns around and says, you know what, this guy's picked up a bit of a mess, a team in 17th. Let's give him time. It's, where's the good football? Show me the good football right now. So I think you can, and as I said, I always see who the sensible football fans are versus the ones that just say things for reactions. Yeah. Redknapp, Poch, these guys that played really nice football. I had the players to play really nice football. If it was that simple to play nice football, every manager would do it. There's a reason why 95% of teams don't play really attractive football, because not many players are capable of that. personnel changes, style changes. Have a look at Spurs back under Harry Redknapp's just a perfect example. When Harry Redknapp came in, Gareth Bale was playing left back. Luka Modric was playing left wing, right? We had no defensive midfielder, did we? We had no defensive midfielder, no real playmaker. So what did Harry do? Went out and went, right, one of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to get Wilson Palacios. Wilson Palacios comes in, right. Now that means it's a lot easier for Modric and Huddleston in the middle to create. Why? Because they've got the safety net of Wilson Palacios. So again, you're putting square pegs in square holes. So Wilson Palacios comes in. He's not the attractive one on the pitch, is he? I don't mean looks, I mean the way he plays. He's not the one that you give him the ball and he beats 5 men. Wilson Palacios, win it, give it. Win it, give it. Right? Win it, give it. And he did. He won it. He'd give it to Modric, and Modric now can dictate things. Now, you've moved Modric off the left into the middle when every man and his dog was going, this boy won't work in the Premier League. He's not strong enough. He's not strong enough. He's not physical enough. How did that turn out? And then over time, Harry started bringing in players to give us options. Scotty Parker comes in, who's a different profile from Modric, from Huddleston, from Palacios. Van der Vaart comes in, doesn't he? Top player, Rafael van der Vaart comes in. Now you've got that little bit of spark, that creativity, that goal scorer, the one who wants to get on the ball, probe, make things happen. Now you've got Gareth Bale, isn't a left back. He's on the left wing. And you know what? Go on, Gareth. Go and run at people because you've got Wilson Palacios, Huddleston, Parker, whoever it was at the time in whatever game. So when you give a manager the right options, the football opens up. But you can't just play a way that players don't play. See, when people say things like this isn't true. I've done so many shows showing the stats and the data. When you put Sarr and Bergwijn in midfield, there's more ball progression. There's less ball progression. We've shown the data and the stats. We've shown the data and the stats. When Sarr and Bergwijn play, they don't progress the ball forward as much as Bentancur and Paulinho. People don't want to believe it, though, because they make things up. As I've said, when people like this just come into shows and make things up, it's really difficult. The same fans that say we only score from set pieces and throw-ons, it's not true. But they hear it somewhere and then they go into a show and say it and people start believing it. Now, what Sarr and Bergwijn give you is that driving forward. What they don't give you is the ball progression. Hence why I've said for years, Spurs need a midfielder that progresses that ball. However, if we can get Xavi Simons on form and firing, then that can be the job of Bentancur to get Xavi the ball. Get him the ball quicker. Right? Get in the ball quicker. But what we saw last night from Sarr, he's absolutely brilliant. Right? This, by the way, yes, thank you. Absolutely. They carry the ball. They don't break it with progressive passes. Absolutely. So, yes, you watch football. You watch the same game as me. Yes. What Sarr is very good at is breaking up play. Sarr is very good at driving with it. But what you saw last night was his ball progression isn't good. His actual passing of the football. Now, that's fine. Different players have different skill sets. Not everyone's going to do the same thing, right? Not everyone's going to be excellent at everything. But that's his skill set. Breaking up play, box to box, driving forward. Bergwijn's is very much driving forward. But very few players have that good passing, progressive passing. And what I really don't want to see, right? What I really don't want to see is people just making up that, oh, when he plays, it's not true. We did this the other day. People kept saying, oh, when Bergvall play, he passes it forward more than Bentancur. Bergvall passes the ball forward less than any other midfielder at Tottenham Hotspur. Absolutely, J Spurs. Absolutely. Absolutely. We need that progressive passer. This is why we need a Wharton. We need a Stiller, a Barella, a Locatelli. When you get those players who are naturally very good with the ball and at progressive passing, that is what you get. By the way, I'm only going to go for another four minutes, guys, because I do have to get little Stanley to the vets today. There we go. So somebody just sent me these stats. I say somebody, Perchie just sent me these stats. So thank you, Perchie. Has said Spurs stats this season. We're 6th in the Premier League, 7th in the Champions League. We've scored 27 goals, right? We've conceded 12, and that's in 16 games. 8 clean sheets. So we've got a 50% clean sheet record. Open play goals, 16. Piece goals, 7. So 7 of our 27 goals have been set piece goals. That's not most of them, is it? That's not most of it. So thank you for sending me through that detail. Yeah, exactly. And this is why, I mean, I've brought this up a few times. People just choose to ignore it. Like where we'd be if the Premier League table was by open goals, well, we'd be top. But because people see us score from set pieces, they say that's the only way we score. And that's my issue. When people pass off the word, but that's my opinion, an opinion isn't fact. When there's data to back up the fact, it's a fact, right? So, look, I think that we're doing some good things. I think that this light, by the way, is about to go. Did that light just go out? Oh, gosh. Yeah, well, my light's flickering like mad. Sorry. Hang on. What's going on here? What's going on here? Come on. Did you guys see that? Is that got... Yeah. Okay. All right. There we go. I think that we're doing some nice things. I can see what he wants to do. I can see that we're going to need better players for it to look proper. But right now, I don't see any drama. I don't see any issues. We're going to win games. We're going to lose games, and we're going to draw games. Unfortunately, that's the way football works. 3 months in. We're 3 months in. Absolutely. And I knew, it's all right, Robbo. I knew you meant progress. Don't worry. And absolutely, Nicola, there is nothing wrong with set piece goals. Nothing wrong with it. I think it's brilliant. If you can score from open play and from set pieces and from throw-ins, score however you score. That is the point of football. So I think it's really interesting. As I say, when I see people come into the chat, I always know who's actually bothered to go and fact check versus people who just want to hate on the manager. Because a lot of the things thrown at the manager are actually false. But hey, it is what it is. Let me just see. Sam, you haven't listened. Sam, see, this is why people get frustrated with you. You can see that type of football every week, depending on the opposition, depending on who's available for us. It's very difficult. You can't play that type of football when Xavi and Mouani aren't fit, for example. You can't play that type of football when you've got Richie up front or Bergvall in the 10. Please, just stop. It's silly. It's really silly. Big up to Daniel. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Always very generous to me. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate you. Like many others, you really do support my channel. So thank you very much. Just a quick show there this morning, guys. I do need to take little Stanley to the vets. So he's going to get his... So yes, guys, girls, much love. I don't think I'm back today. I might have a video this afternoon. I don't think I'm back today. I'll be back tomorrow. Probably do a members only show tomorrow as well. So Guys, it is what it is. Let's be happy. We've just battered Copenhagen 4-0. We've got Man United at home next. Imagine if we beat Man United. If we beat Man United, people will need to look at the Champions League table and the Premier League table and go, what a good start it's been under Thomas Frank. Take care, everyone. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs. Actually, sorry, guys. Sorry. For some reason, the end stream button isn't working. So bear with me 1 second. What I'm going to try and do is try and redirect everybody. Let's see who's live. I don't know what is going on. My StreamYard has just stopped working. So it means I've just got to stay live for another 30 seconds. 1 second. Let's try this. Let's redirect. Who's live in the Spurs? I can't see anybody live anywhere on YouTube doing anything. No, can't see anyone live. Guys, girls, going to leave it there. Hopefully this works. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.